Go fast.
It started.
Go ahead, Ryan.
How you doing?
Excellent.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. This is Mystic Interviews with hosts Kristian Mo and Emilie Mo, and today we will be presenting Ryan Anderson, which is a spiritual drummer, a healer, and a spiritualist. So if you would like to get in contact with us, if any of you would like to be a guest on our show, you can always contact us on mysticinterviews.com. So let me go into a bit of a bio before we start interviewing Ryan real quick. Let me see, let me pull it up. All right. Well, I don't have it right now. It's like I lost it.
Okay, so we can start by Ryan. Tell us a bit about yourself and your spiritual.
Sure.
Just go ahead.
Yeah. Goodness.
Who are you, Ryan? You tell us.
So how did it started? Where did you start your spiritual journey, and how did all of this start for you?
It started with one of these. Yeah, about 30, 35 years ago, I was, playing on little drum kits as a kid, and got into the rock scene back home in Dallas, Fort Worth, and played the rock clubs and opened up for some of the big bands down there. Pantera was one of them, and Cat Thackeray, and Legacy and Gypsy Rose, and got in good with the guys and just stayed in that scene for a while. But because of my childhood, I had somewhat of a rough childhood growing up, and I would always use drumming as an out. That was how I would escape. So whenever I would play, whether it was with a band or if it was solo, I would kind of use that as a meditation. I could let everything out. And, the years went by, moved to different parts of the country, Chicago and Indianapolis and parts of the Midwest, and got in with some people who were into various spiritualities, and they knew that I was a drummer. And one of the girls said, "Here, I have this CD. It's Haitian Voodoo Drumming. You should check it out." So I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" So I put the CD in, and I started to listen to it, and I was completely blown away. I thought that I'd known everything about drumming that there was to know. And I listened to this stuff, and I'm like, I've got to know more. My hunger opened up. My thirst for knowledge opened up. I started reading on it. I started listening to it more. I started getting connected with people who were in the tradition. Next thing you know, I'm flying down to Haiti for my first time about 10 years ago to actually sit in on a fete and learn some of the drumming, and was just completely blown away. Their hospitality that they would let me sit in and learn with them. The more I learned and the more I was studying and being taught, the more they were actually telling me what the rhythms are doing. And I was like,
that's awesome to actually go to the source and to sit with the people that know what they're doing.
Oh, these guys are masters, yeah.
Know how the drum talks. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So that, and as a kid, I had always been attracted to the universe and the cosmos, and I had believed in, that there was life in other dimensions, be it, aliens, little green men, or, angelic realms, that we can't be it. We're not, this is not it. If that's the case,
something more.
There's got to be something more. Right. So when they were like, this rhythm contacts this energy, and this rhythm does this, and I was like, I want to know more. I want to know more. So I started going back and forth, started reading a lot more about it, and then got turned on to a few other authors from West Africa, and sat in on a few of their workshops and started talking to them more, doing some drumming with them. Got to go over to Africa about 10 or 11 years ago for quite a few months and just studied the drumming and just took in the culture and took in the people.
So you lived in Africa for a while to study the drumming over there?
Yeah, about 3 months, 3 to 4 months. Yeah, I mean, it's just when you go to any indigenous part of the world, it doesn't matter where it is, any place that's outside of, modern technology and the Western mindset, you get enveloped and wrapped in to their way of life. You can't help it. It becomes a part of you. So, after that, I spent several months over there and learned the rhythms and learned what the rhythms are doing and what elements they're contacting and how they can heal and how they can build a community. They can heal yourself. They can call spirits. So naturally, I just kept wanting to know more and more and wanted to play more and more, and just felt that was my calling. I came back to the United States, and I didn't even feel at home when I got back here. It was like,
Wow.
Oh yeah, I can recognize that feeling.
yeah, you feel like a stranger in a strange land. So I came back and was living in Chicago at the time, and was kind of thrown away by the tall skyscrapers because you don't see that over there, and
all the activity and all the chaos going on.
Completely different world.
Yeah,
and
it's like it shuts you out from your ability to be able to feel and to be connected to nature and spirit.
It does, and that's why in a lot of the indigenous parts of the world, not that they're, a lot of people think that they're primitive and that they don't have any contact with the outside. They do, they just don't want it because it takes away from the element of spirit from nature. So I moved from Chicago down to Indianapolis and got in with a few African drummers over there and got in really close with them. And they said, you know what, why don't you put together a drum circle? People are looking for that here in the Midwest.
What's a drum circle?
What is a drum circle? A drum circle is where
you don't know nothing. What's a drum circle?
A drum circle is a gathering of musicians and drummers from any skill set. They can be a beginner. They can be highly advanced. You get together in a circle, and a circle is put together to show equality, that there's no rank, there's no higher or lower. It's a community. It's one cell of unity. And you begin playing. You follow a certain rhythm, and you begin playing that, and it builds communities. It encourages strength. It helps with healing. It's very tribal. It's a moving event. It's very powerful, and I fell in love with doing it. I started getting people in Indiana that were coming more and more and more, and then.
So what is the reactions? Because you not only have advanced players in the circles, you also have beginners. Do I understand that correctly?
Correct. Anybody can join. And like I said, it doesn't matter what your skill set is. If you always tell people, if you have a heartbeat and you can walk, you have rhythm. Because everybody says the first thing they say if they're new, oh, I don't know how to play. And I'll just briefly show them a quick pattern, and they'll either follow it, or once the group gets going, and if they're not that strong of a drummer, they'll kind of do their own thing and they'll tap on it. But just listening alone is as powerful as playing. You can just sit and take it in.
All right, I found your bio, so I'm going to read it real quick so
All right.
to know who you are and what you are
Sure.
about. So Ryan Anderson is a drummer, spiritualist, healer, using the energy of the drum as the main tool for his work. Hashem. He uses the drum for a number of healing things to assist in removing negative energy and bringing about positive influencing, realigning the spirit and energy centers of the body. That's amazing. Restoring the physical makeup to boost the immune system, as well as inducing trance and cosmic traveling to help you with meditation and relaxation. See, it sounds so interesting.
Sounds mystical, doesn't it?
You sound like the
I would
whole
like to experience that.
mystical.
You will.
So what got you into the healing aspect of using the drum? What made you switch gears or start to incorporate healing with the drum versus you just started playing? What was the turning point for you?
Well, the turning point was, after I'd come back from Haiti and from Africa, like I said, when I was younger, I'd always had a connection or hungered for a connection to the cosmos and the stars. And when I went down to Haiti and spent time down there and went over to Africa, they both, even though they're two different lineages and two different traditions and their drumming is completely different, they both kept pushing the idea that we're from the stars, that the ancestors are from the stars, that the rhythms that we play are from the stars, they're from the heavens. And I was like, wow, that is some cool stuff. Tell me more. So, and then they would go into the healing aspect and how.
Tell me more about that. What's the concept? What is the ideology of them saying that we come from the stars? What is behind that? The ancestors.
A lot of the indigenous traditions believe that we're, obviously not from this earth. that we either come from the Pleiades or we come from other galactic systems, and we came here to explore and to experiment, but we still have that connection to the stars. There's a lot of, if you go to the Lakota reservations in South Dakota and North Dakota, they tell you all the time they star travel, and they've never even seen a spaceship, but they can go back home at any point. They go into meditation, and they get in touch with the star that they're from. They get in touch with their ancestors. So it was kind of dumbfounding at first, for a white suburban kid from outside of Dallas, Texas, that was really just into rock and roll with long hair. I didn't really think much of it, but I always had that, the stars in the universe. And when I found these spiritual traditions that implored that idea and that really just were based on that mindset, and they incorporated drums, I was sold. I was hooked. And, they started telling me about the healing aspects and how it heals the mind and the spirit and the physical body, and just on and on and on. So I just kept learning more and learning more and learning more. I'm still learning.
So how does the drum heal? That's a good question.
That's a broad scoped question.
Give me anything.
Sure.
How can you explain to me how will you use the drum to heal, and an example?
Sure. One of the things I do is called a sacred rhythmic alignment. And what we do is I'll have a client come in, and we'll discuss what their intentions are and what they want to change and what they want to get rid of, at the same time talking about what they want to bring in, what they want to see for their future.
Oh.
So after we've established that, I'll have the client lie down on a yoga mat with their arms straight out, like the letter T, like this, and I'll begin playing. Yeah, I'll strap a djembe on, and I'll be standing up. And I'll begin playing various rhythms. Could be their element, could be whatever spirit wants to come through, it could be just whatever I'm guided to play. When the drum is being played over an individual, what happens is it breaks up negative energy.
Wow.
In the physical body, we're so bombarded with the radioactivity and the radio frequencies and the negative energy that's all around us, we become a sponge, and we don't necessarily know how to get rid of it. And when it sits for a long time, it manifests into physical ailments. It could be depression, anxiety, chronic pain, any of those. Those stem from an imbalance in the energetic field that's in and around the body. So when the drum is played over an individual, it breaks up and shakes out all of that loose negative energy that's become very comfortable sitting in there. It disrupts that energy, and over time, it dissipates and goes away. Right. All at the same time. And here's the way that it boosts the immune system is your cells in your body are vibrating drums. They've done studies to show that the cells are nothing but pulsating little balls of energy.
I heard about that. And a lot of systems incorporate that as well, like, for example, Kabbalah.
Yeah.
I heard when they vibrate certain sounds to activate their sephiroths, or chakras, that is called, then you change the cells and you actually can clean them for energy, and the same thing as you're saying. So yeah, I heard about that.
It's the same thing when you do a mantra. When they recite the mantras in the Hindu tradition, it's the words, but it's also the sounds that each vowel makes. It resonates with different chakras, and it helps to vibrate and clean them up. So you've got a good point. And what the drum does is, when all those cells are vibrating at different pulses and different rates in the human body, that again creates an imbalance. So when you've got this giant drum being played over you and forcing vibration and sound and energy, the cells follow suit. They begin to follow that one rhythm, and it boosts the immune system because now they have unified strength. They're like, we're a team again. Let's dance and party and make this person feel better.
That's powerful.
It is, and when it comes to the mental aspect, what I tell a client to do is to focus on their intention. Because when you hear a drum, that's why you see the Native American traditions, they have the hoop drum, the shamans, they play it, that simple little pattern. That noise shuts down the monkey brain syndrome. It opens up both frontal lobes, the left and the right side. Both hemispheres of the mind come together, and your focus and your intention increase by multiple layers. What's that?
Can you play it? Just to
I have one. Do you want me to play it real quick?
Yeah, just real quick.
Sure, yeah.
I want to hear it.
That would be awesome.
You've never heard it before?
No, I want to hear what you...
Sure, it's a simple pattern. I have my little Remo drum here and my shaker that was made by an elder in Michigan, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wow, that looks like a real Indian one.
It's deer skin.
All right.
It's got little rattles in it. So it would sound something like this. You've probably heard that before, yes? Okay. What that is in a nutshell, that's a pattern called the Earth pulse. It's 180 beats a minute, and it follows the shamanic waves. That's the energy pulses that the Earth sends out. The Earth pulses at 3 beats a second. So when you're able to follow,
like a whole science with this.
It is. So when you mimic and you match what the Earth is vibrating at, you become closer with the Earth-like energy, and you start to resonate with her. You can also meditate, and you can focus on your intention. So when you listen to a drum, if I were to be over you right now playing with my djembe and just doing what I'm doing, and you're set on your intention of listening to it, all you hear is the drum. You don't hear the chatter in the mind, and your focus increases. And at the same time, it's also getting you in touch with the spirit, because I've asked you to focus on your spirit, your ancestors, your guides, and let them come in. So we're realigning all three at the same time.
That's amazing.
That's just one of the modes of modality I do. It's powerful stuff.
I heard about something called that the instrument had higher levels of vibration before, and then I think it was in the Second World War. Well, a scientist notched down the instrument. Did you hear about that? The hertz?
I've heard something about it. Was it the 432 hertz?
Yes.
That you're referring to? Yeah, the 432 hertz was scientists. What they claim is that at 432 hertz, sound is perfect, and the human body and the mind can resonate perfectly with that. So, in Africa, the indigenous people don't have the instruments to tone down a drum to 432, but they have the intuition. So they play it and they listen to their guides, and they find that right pitch. It's the same with the Native American drum. So you're right in that aspect. After certain turns, of events and turns of the century here, on Earth and in history, we had to change how things were being done. And
some people might wonder, I didn't, how can I have something bad and the drum fix me, because I never resonated with I don't, maybe they don't understand how energy resonates, and how, what happened with me is just a condition. I don't believe that I didn't do anything that caused my vibrational level to. So what is your perspective? What can you tell those people? Not to convince them, but to enlighten them of what's going on a vibrational level concerning to the drum and what they experience.
Well, I tell people that everything is energy based. If you take a glass and you put it in front of various frequencies of sound, a guitar playing too loud, it's going to shatter. So the sound of the guitar, the vibration coming out of the speaker and hitting a physical object does have a result. There are studies that have been done. If you take a glass and you put it in front of an opera singer who's singing extremely high, it shatters.
So where do they get those negative vibrations from?
The negative vibrations are all around us. And what happens is we have a tendency to send out low negative vibrations. It's in our makeup. We can't avoid it. You've heard the old saying, like finds like. Whatever you send out, you bring back to yourself.
So basically when you're stressed out, you can create those vibrations. If you have a hectic job, you can be affected by those vibrations. If you have a negative perspective of mind, or try to influence people, you scream a lot, you're angry, you create those types of vibrations. And those vibrations actually install themselves in your body. They host themselves, and they get a hold of you. Okay.
They do. Thought manifests reality. I tell everybody that. Whatever you think will become reality. So if you're always in a slump and you're always having a negative outlook and a negative attitude, you're going to continue to experience that, because you're putting that energy out there, and that energy is like, the negative energy is like, oh, I found a host. That person over there is in a bad mood. I'm going to live over there. Right. So it's all about the energy finding a host. Energy is always moving, and it has to go somewhere. Even though it stays in a human body, various levels of energy still pass through while the other levels stay stagnant. If you change your outlook and change your perspective, change your perception, you'll start to emit a higher level of vibration and attract higher frequencies and attract, higher situations in your life.
That's interesting.
So, when doctors say, "Oh, it's stress," they say that because they don't know what it is. What
So
it is.
after you do your sessions with the drums to heal people, is there, because I understand that what you're saying is that people have to change their mindset and also how they live their lives. So do you have a follow-up on that after you do the healing? Is there anything that you advise them or you do?
I do. I'll do a post-healing consultation once we're done. We're done with the drums. We're done with all the energy work that needs to be done. Then I'll sit down with the client, kind of do a post-interview, how they feel, what they thought, what they want to change. I'm basically giving somebody the tools to fix themselves. It's like me giving you the hammer and nails and saying, this is how you build the house. I'm going to build the foundation. Now go build the rest. If you need some help, give me a call. So when I do work for people, I don't just leave them out in the dust and never stay in touch. I always text in about a couple of weeks later and find out how they're feeling. Do we have to do a maintenance ritual? Where are they at?
That's awesome. So you follow people.
Oh, absolutely. Well, ethically you have to, I think. If you're ethical about it, you want to stay in touch because you're changing this person's energy. You're changing their outlook, especially if it's somebody who's new to it. They've never heard of it. They've never done it. You don't just want to throw all this stuff at them and say, okay, see ya. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
What's that?
Does it take one session to heal them, or they go to you multiple times, or how does it work?
Usually the first session is a breakthrough. A lot of people experience different emotions. I've had some individuals, while I'm playing over them, they'll shake violently. Some will cry. Some will laugh. It all depends on what energy needs to come out. That's kind of breaking the ice. Depending on what the client needs, sometimes there's follow-up sessions. Sometimes there may be 1 or 2 sessions, and that's it. So, everybody comes in with a different situation that they want to have looked at. It's like when you go to the doctor, you may have a headache, he gives you 2 aspirin, that's it. Or, you may have a bad case of the flu and you have to do a follow-up. It's kind of the same thing. It's just on a holistic level.
And I was viewing your website and your YouTube, and I see that you teach. So what do you teach the healing, or do you teach only how to play the drums? Like, what do you teach?
I teach the rhythms that can help you.
Okay.
I teach people different rhythmic patterns. I explain to them a little bit about what it is, and then after discussing, whether it be with a group or just 1 or 2 people, we'll discuss for a few minutes, and then I'll show them the pattern, and then we'll kind of take it up, a little bit faster, a little bit faster. We'll alternate speeds and go up and down, and when we close out, then we'll kind of go around the room and express what each person felt. Nobody's obligated to tell us what they feel. If they don't want to share it, they don't have to share it. But I want to hear what people are thinking and what they're feeling, because I want them to get in touch with their element, with their inner spirit, with their guides. Ever since I came back from Africa and Haiti and studied all this stuff, my vision and my goal is to share this knowledge and to share that you can get in touch with your own soul and your own spirit, and this is how you do it. This is my way of doing it. Some people do yoga, some people do meditation with a gong. I use a drum.
Do you use anything Indian based, because you're talking about Africa and Haiti? How about?
I do have like I said, I've got 2 of the hoop drums here that I use that have the shakers. One was made out in the Midwest, and the other one was made in South Dakota. So sometimes the healing sessions I do will combine a little bit of both. It depends on what spirit is guiding, the situation to be. Before I do work with anybody, I'll kind of consult with my spirits and my ancestors and ask them to give me guidance. Who should I use? What element should I use? What drum should I use? And they'll say, use this drum or use this element or use this herb, and this is what the person needs. So, I've got various sages and herbs and stuff down here. I smudge constantly, try to keep the energy clean. And after I do work with a client, I clean the area again, because we're trying to get rid of that negative energy. So again, it's really based on what the client needs. There's no set way to do, one type of healing session. It's again, like I said, it's like going to the doctor and the doctor, prescribing this for one and this for another.
So, where are you based at? Do you have your own center? Are you based at home? How would someone reach to you if they need help or want to learn?
They find me on the web. They find me on my website. They find me on YouTube. They find me on Facebook. I travel. I'm based out of Queens, New York. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas.
I'm like, New York.
That's why I don't have the New York accent. I have the Texas accent. But I travel. I'm going to Indianapolis in a couple weeks. I'm going to Massachusetts this Saturday. And we've got some stuff coming online in Atlanta in August and Arizona later in the fall. So
Wow.
I reach out to people who are in the drum groups and the meditative groups, and I introduce myself, or they find me, and we make a connection. And you build that community, you bridge that gap, and you share. That's what it's all about.
Being human and interacting with each other and having a good time, not mechanically following an instruction. And
Exactly.
that's all. Because I experienced that a lot in different religions or dogmatic sets of mind. That he's very cold, he's very structured, and he's very inhumane. He's like robotic.
Yep.
So people miss that part to be able to connect as human beings and learn to know each other as well. Because everybody goes through bad and everybody goes through good. It's up and down. And that's just the natural course of life.
It's funny you mention that. I do a drum circle. In fact, I'm doing one tonight. Every Wednesday night here in Rockaway Beach, we do a drum circle. And I get people that are, one of the guys that comes in is the assistant DA for Queens County. I got another guy who plays for the Springfield, Massachusetts Philharmonic Orchestra. So I get all different walks of life.
Oh, wow.
We get down here in this room, and we start to drum, and it's like you were saying, everything just falls away. You become one equal body. Your mindset is gone. You're not thinking. You're in your zone. You're in yourself. You focus on what you want to heal. You focus on the love and the energy that you want to put out there, and everything that's technical and mechanical about human life is completely gone. It's very primal, and that's what we originate from, is from that rhythm and from that primal instinct. That's where it all comes from.
Awesome. Okay, so I have a question, because now we talked a lot about drums and healings. Is there any other services that you offer to people?
I do spiritual baths. I'll do spiritual cleansing. I'll do a house cleansing. Everything that I promote and that I stand for and try to do is to help and elevate, is to try to get people up. So again, when a client reaches out to me, I'll consult with my ancestors and my guides, and they'll say, either this person needs a drum healing, or they need a bath, or they need some type of protection work, they need a guard, they need removal of negative energy. So it's, I don't want to, just coin the phrase, I'm a drum healer. I'm a spiritualist, and I use various modalities to try to help and share love and spread love and make it happen in a nutshell.
You have how many years of experience do you have?
With which part?
He was drumming since 11.
to be with, yeah, but as a spiritualist, and when did you seriously kind of devote your life to help people elevate and to do what you do on a spiritual level?
I spent about 11 years, 10 or 11 years, since 2004, 2005, somewhere in there. When I woke up and felt the energy of spirit and the passion and the power that there was, I had always known, again, going back to when I was a kid, I always knew there was something bigger. And, I'm a person that I kind of need to see it to believe it. I think a lot of us are that mindset. And so seeing it firsthand down in Haiti for the first time when I first saw it, and I was in awe. I mean,
I've never been to Haiti. I know my husband has. He experienced all of that.
Right.
What is the major difference, I guess, from the drumming here versus over there?
The drumming here in the States?
Yeah, I have no idea. Like me, I don't.
Well, a lot of the drums that are used in the Haitian voodoo tradition and in their spiritual traditions are very hard to find here in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Miami and New York and Chicago are your three main epicenters for the Haitian tradition. You also have voodoo down in New Orleans, but it's a different sect. It's not Haitian. They're trying to get the Haitian version down in there, but it's a completely different ball of wax. So within the Chicago, New York, Miami area, you'll find Haitian drummers and Haitian voodoo priests and the ceremonies. Whereas with, the drumming that's done here in the United States with drum circles, that actually was brought over by Babatunde Alatonje, who is a West African drummer. He's passed away, but he was also an Ifa priest. And he came over, I would say, probably in the 60s, I think, 50s or 60s. And, he was spreading the word of spirit, but he wasn't telling everybody what the rhythms and the songs were. He just said, this is African music and drumming, check it out. And they would start playing, and the people were like, wow, that is some really cool stuff. And what the turning point for him was, Mickey Hart from the Grateful Dead went over to Africa to study his spirituality and his African drumming, and got hooked up with Babatunde. And next thing you know, the Grateful Dead and Babatunde are touring together. And they just, Mickey Hart left the Grateful Dead and founded a group called Planet Drum. You can look them up, the Mickey Hart Planet Drum, and they just promote the African healing and the African drumming. So that's more of the style of drumming you'll find here in the United States in your drum circles and in your drum workshops, because it's the easiest to access. Haitian drumming is very complex. Not to say that African drumming is not complex, because it is, but Haitian drumming, from what I've seen, involves so many different drums and so many different polyrhythms that it's hard to get those drums just in a drum circle for one, and if you can get them, it's hard to find the average person who knows how to play them. So, in order to alleviate having to constantly look it up and try to research, here in the United States, we've become very fond of the djembe and the doumbek and the doon-doons and the African drumming. There's a lot more research. There's a lot more things you can find on the internet that shares those rhythms, and people learn them and they play them, and it's powerful stuff when they do.
And it's a lot to concerning to the drums in general. It's a lot to do with putting your focus and energy when you do the rhythm. Yep. Because I noticed that some musicians, they just play the notes, they just they just play the rhythm,
right.
How they learned it to do, but they don't put the spirit, and that's what it means to put the spirit into the drum, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Core essence.
That's where I got Spirit Drummer, because I'm putting everything that is me into it, and at the same time I'm getting the same thing out of it. So it's, for me, I'm so turned on and so passionate about spirit that I can't not do this type of work and not pay homage to them, because they're the ones that gave me this gift. They're the ones that opened me up to it. So that's kind of where I coined the phrase the Spirit Drummer, is I'm helping you get in touch with your spirit. I'm helping you to feel it. I'm feeling it. It's everything that encompasses spirit and rhythm. That's where it, kind of originated from. I actually was sitting on my couch in Chicago about 12 years ago. I was like, that's a pretty cool name. I'm going to, use that, see what happens. And it took off. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
You created that one. You got to copyright it.
Yeah, I do. It is.
The Spirit Drummer.
The Spirit Drummer, yeah.
Go ahead. Is there what else I wanted to ask? I wanted to ask about divination. Okay. Because I saw on your website also that you do consultations and divination. Which tradition is that?
It all depends on which divination we're doing. I do.
What type of divination do you do? I guess that's a better question.
Are you familiar with throwing OB?
Yeah.
Divination with the coconut shells?
Yes.
From the Yoruba. Yeah. I actually learned that from a friend of mine in Chicago who was she's a Lukumi priestess, and she was scratched in Palo. So she has, and she's also a Mambo Asagwe. So she has all three under her belt. And we became very good friends, and she was showing me divination work and spiritual work, and for some reason, that's the one that kind of got my attention. There's also another reading I do that's practiced in Africa and in the Native American traditions called a fire water reading, and what they do is they take a bowl of water and they put a candle. You have the bowl of water in front of you and have the flame on the other side, so the water is between you and the fire. And after you do certain invocations and call certain spirits, you see the messages in the water.
Wow.
That's what's happening.
I'm interested in learning that.
It's beautiful. They teach in all these traditions that fire and water are the portals in the doorway to the spirit world. That's how they travel.
Do you use fire and water, like the two elements that cancel each other out, to divine and scrying?
Yeah, but
it's yin and yang. It's what it is. It's yin and yang.
That's what we use on the shrine too. The first basic principles you put on the shrine is a bowl of water, a glass of water, and a candle.
And the candle, so, fire and water. Yep.
The candle is the spark, and the water is the spirits travel through the water.
Yep. So as you get deeper into these indigenous traditions, you'll find that here on this plane, in the realm that you and I and that Chris are in, the physical material world, sound and thought and energy travels through air. In the other world, in the spiritual world, like in Haitian Voodoo, they say ambalo, underwater. They're not necessarily, it's kind of it's a synonym. They're not necessarily saying underwater, but they are, because everything travels through a water portal. So it's complete two different elements. So you have the air, which supports fire, and that's how you communicate, and you have the water, which supports the spiritual world and how they communicate. You put the two together, and you have pretty much anything you can desire.
Like you said, yin and yang.
It's the yin and the yang. It's the two polar opposites that work together.
It's easy for people to understand yin and yang.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What's it called again? Fire. I'm gonna.
Fire water reading.
Fire water. I'm gonna Google that. I'm gonna.
You're probably going back to my website.
All types of divination. I want to know about divination.
Okay.
Yeah, you should definitely put that on your website.
I think I have. Is it on there?
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I think it's on there.
I didn't see it.
I have to look. I have to look again.
This is intriguing to me, like the whole story.
You know, there's other types of divinations that I'm not meant to do, that I can't do, but in all honesty, the one that I have the most fun with is a drum reading. And what I'll do is I'll sit with a client and I'll just start playing after certain prayers and invocations and asking the individual, about themselves and what they want and so on and so forth, and what they want to change, what they want to let go of, and what they want to have come to fruition. I'll start playing. And it's amazing the messages and the images that I get. And the more I play, the more images I get. That is my way of communicating. That's how I meditate.
So you do a spiritual reading for them while you channel through the drum, and then you give them the messages?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
yes. I'll sit and play for however long I'm guided to play. Sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 15. I don't usually go over 20 because what happens is the body and the mind start to become fatigued, and you can lose that focus. So, in my honest opinion, it's best to try to keep it 15 to 20 minutes max, because you're fresh, your spirit is fresh, your body is fresh. Drumming is a heck of an upper body workout. It does involve a lot of moving, a lot of arm work, and your shoulders can, they can get uncomfortable over time. So you still want to keep the body and the mind and the spirit fresh. So I'll do it for about 15 minutes. And, things will just start to come to me about that individual, or things will come to me about what spirit wants to say or what they want to have them do. So, and a lot of people do it. It's very popular in the shamanic principles as well. They use the drum that I showed you, this one, with the rattle, and they'll speak to their client or their patient, whatever they want to call it, and they'll start to drum. The shaman will start to drum, and they get messages from the other side. So it's kind of the same principle.
Do you do that only in person, or do you do that over the phone as well?
I've done it via Skype because I like to see who it is I'm working with and who it is I'm talking to, and at the same time I want the person who is receiving the work to see that it's legit, that I'm not on the phone saying, yeah, I'm doing this, but I'm really not. So I try to keep everything
song in the background.
What's that?
I said playing a song in the background and pretending that.
In the meantime,
I feel it's coming to me. Oh.
Yeah, in the meantime, I'm watching the football game. But I do that. I try to keep everything very ethical. I try to be very moral because I believe that I may not make millions of dollars doing this, but spiritually it helps because you're doing the right thing. So.
Right.
I have done a few of them over Skype, or I have done a few where a person will call in. Like, say they want a distance healing. I'm in New York and they're in Montana. They obviously can't get to me. So I'll have a person send me, their signature written on a piece of paper a few times. I'll have them send me a picture of themselves. So what's happening is that when they've written their name down, they've put that energy on that piece of paper. Now that energy is coming to where I am. And that picture helps me to focus because I know what they look like. So any type of distance work that I've done where, say, the person isn't on Skype with me, is I'll take their instruments, their objects that they've sent, I'll put them on the floor, I'll do some blessings with it, I'll strap the djembe on just like I would drumming over a person. I drum over their objects. It's called healing by proxy. And the way it works is that everything that you touch, you leave an imprint.
Right.
And wherever you send it to, your energy is now on that object. That's why in a lot of spiritual traditions, they don't want you touching a lot of stuff because you're leaving your energy on those objects. You follow me?
Right.
So when that energy of that person is here with me in New York and I focus on that person and pray and drum, they've connected a cord. They wrote their name down. They sent me their picture. They've established a cord, like an umbilical cord of energy, to me over here. I drum and I focus the energy, and that vibration goes back to them. And I've actually had some people say, you know what, I could feel you drumming at 9:05 p.m. That was good stuff. And we talk about their healing. You know, it's actually it's a practice I learned. I'm a Reiki master. I've been a Reiki master for about 10 years.
Well, there goes another thing. You're just all filled with a whole bunch of.
I actually learned that through Reiki. They do healing by distance. Yeah.
You're all filled with stuff. Reiki healing.
Lots of chocolates.
Yeah. Mystery man.
Yeah.
My husband was like, well, I don't think we need to start writing things down. He got so many experiences, we could just keep talking, you know.
You know, it's a passion of mine. I love studying. I love learning. I don't want to be one of those people who just kind of scratches the surface on various traditions. I want to be the one that gets deep into it. I've gotten deep into a couple of them.
I say I want to see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Right. So, you know, I've gotten deep into my personal spiritual tradition. I've gotten deep into a couple that I've studied. I'm fascinated with all of them. But, you know, I don't think that it's, you know, my time in this life here on earth to try to learn all of them, because you know, you're meant to experience and enjoy what you're given and what you're attracted to. So, and that's what I'm going with. Right. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's what I'm staying with.
Is there a certain practice? Is there a certain practice that you mainly practice above all of them? Like
my personal spiritual belief is Haitian Voodoo and Afro-Caribbean diasporic traditions. I am initiated as a priest. I was initiated about 4 or 5 years ago, and I use that for my personal and daily activities. I consult with the Loa, the spirits of that tradition. I consort with my ancestors on a daily basis, even if it's driving to work or walking to the store. You know, keep me safe, let me get there and back in one piece. Anytime I do an event, if I do a drum circle, if I'm doing a healing session, something like this, a retreat where I travel, I always consort with my spirits, because that's my guide. That's what gets me through. You know, if I go a day or two without consorting with them, I start to feel empty, and I can't, you know, there's nothing like having spiritual emptiness. It eats away at you. So, you know, for my personal life, my personal being, it's the voodoo and the ATRs. For my healing aspect, I'll use a little bit of these spirits, but I also use the spirits of the elements and of nature and of energy, and just kind of, you know, ask with honor and respect as to who wants to pop in and lend me a hand. In a nutshell, yeah. So there it is. It's good stuff. I love what I do. I'm glad you guys are having me on. I'm honored, and you know, just thank you, seriously, from the heart. This means a lot.
I wanted a drummer on the show, and then Chris was like, "Oh, I have the perfect person," and I was like, "Sure, let me see his website." And I was like, "Wow, this person is so interesting."
Yeah, definitely.
Multiple things, and the way that you heal with the drum, and I was looking at your YouTube videos, and it was like, wow, you traveled a lot of different places, and you have a lot of experience. I was like, the world and people need to know about this, you know, so they can understand, because a lot of people don't understand how important the drum is, especially to the ATRs, you know, religion.
Yeah,
you know, they don't understand how important it is. We believe it has its own spirit.
It does.
As well, so I felt that it was very important to bring someone like you, so we could interview you and show people what the spirit of the drum is. And I didn't know what you call yourself, a spirit drummer?
Spirit drummer,
I didn't know what that was. I was like, I need to find out. So.
Well, you know, another meaning behind that is, you know, drumming to call spirit. You know, when I'm drumming and I play certain patterns, I'm playing the rhythms that are you know, dedicated to that one certain spirit. So when I do work, or when I, you know, serve down here in front of my altars, or when I am praying and just giving thanks, I'll light the candles, I'll pour the libations out. If they want food, I'll give them food. But then I'll play the drum, I'll play their rhythms, and that fires them up. So in a way, you're calling them, you're paying homage to them. That's how they respond.
It's like a language, right?
It is. It really is.
And it takes how long did it take you to, for example, to learn Haitian drumming, the language of those drums?
Wow. I mean, to be at the level that I had two master drummers. One of them was Frisner Augustine. He was associated with a lot of houses here in New York. He's since passed away about 4 or 5 years ago in Port-au-Prince. And then another one, he simply goes by Peterson. He lives in Brooklyn. It's kind of interesting because he doesn't speak a lot of English, and I don't speak a lot of Creole. But when we get on the drum, we speak the same language. So it's
right.
He'll play a pattern, and and he'll tell me what spirit it's for and what it's doing, and I'll just sit and listen and watch and just start to follow along. I mean, to learn all of the rhythms and all of the polyrhythms and the techniques for every spirit would take a lifetime. I mean, there's
never ending.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many spirits just in that one tradition, and I'm studying the rhythms for other traditions and other elements, and you're always a student, you're always a teacher, and you're always a student. So if you know everything there is to know, then it's time for you to move on to the next level. It's time for you to move on to the next realm, wherever you belong. So, yeah, exactly.
So do you want to say anything before we start closing up, Chris?
Do I want to say anything?
Or you?
I just, again, like I said, I mean, I'm honored that you guys have me on here. This has been my passion for so long.
We are too. Thank you so much.
I'm very humbled. It's a beautiful thing that people are catching on, and people are reaching out, and people are finding me, and I'm finding them. It touches my heart that people are actually getting into what my passion is, and that's the biggest gratification. It's not about making the hordes of money or the popularity. It's, I can do a drum circle and have one person here. There's been times when it's only been me and one person, and that individual, when we're done playing, looks over and they're like, man, what you're doing is awesome, and that's huge to me. So,
that's what I wanted to ask you as well. Do you do one-to-one sessions if people are interested in that?
Of course. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. And sometimes those are the most powerful ones, when it's just, it's more intimate, when it's just you and one other person.
You get to the connection. When you do what your passion is, it just makes you aligned, Yep. When you're not just working to work, when you do something when you're in line with your passion and doing what you love and able to help others with it, it's such a fulfillment that no one could understand. So,
well, you're putting your heartfelt energy into it. I mean, if you're doing something that's not what you're meant to do, eventually you're going to be called out on it. It's gonna fade away. So when I do this and I just drum, I'll sit on a street corner and just drum and just love to watch the people's face because they feel it. And you're putting, and there's another way that, we got the term spirit drummer, because it just, they're feeling it. They're putting their all into it. Some people dance. Some people want to play along.
I can see you in Coney Island, on the boardwalk drumming.
It's not a bad idea, actually. I do it down here in Rockaway Beach, but it's not a bad idea.
I always used to be in Rockaway, always, when I was younger at Rockaway, and there's all kinds of stuff going on over there. So.
In the summertime, it's beautiful. The beaches are opening up now, and the boardwalks are opening up, the restaurants. So, yeah, in the summertime, it's nice. In the winter,
no, heck no.
Me being from Texas, I don't need that stuff, but it is what it is. But in a nutshell, it's just it's very humbling that people are actually getting turned on and wanting to experience what it is I do. That's because I kind of have coined my own thing. I've studied the works of other drum healers, Michael Drake, Jade Wahoo Grigori, Malidoma Somé. There's been a few, Bob Lake I'm good friends with in Cincinnati, Ohio. So there's other guys that do this kind of work, but for me, I wanted to branch out away from the Western medical aspect, because there's a lot of studies in the Western medicine that show how drumming heals cancer, it heals depression, it heals autism, it heals Alzheimer's, and it does, because I've done drum circles with elderly groups and children's groups and cancer patients and drug recovery addiction centers in the Midwest, and it does make a breakthrough. But
That itself is amazing. You're healing the sick. It's like, oh, that must feel ultimate, you know?
You know, but you don't. But see, that's the thing, is that you don't feel it. You're not aware of it. You're just doing what you love, and people get into it. It's like a musician on stage. They don't know that music is actually healing. You know, a rock band or a country band, whatever you listen to. That's the reason why they do it. Yeah, granted, they get into it because of the fame now, because they've made the money, but they wanted to do their passion because people got into it.
Yeah.
And I think where my avenue kind of differs is that I wanted to get more into the metaphysical aspect and the spiritual and the soul aspect. And, you know, I've always been into the stars and the universe and divinity and the cosmological order and, you know, of how the universe works. And for me, when I drum, like tonight, we get started at 7:30. We won't stop till like 10 o'clock. We'll go for 2.5 hours. And each one of us in the room is just, we're gone. We're playing the same rhythm. So, you know, that one layer of the soul is still in this room and on this plane and drumming that pattern, but the other layers of the soul have gone off to whatever realm they need to go to, and they're experiencing and picking up and receiving whatever energy they need to receive. And that's where my work differs, because I try to share and express that and teach that and get people involved in that and try to share with them how simple it is to do. It's all in the mind, it's all in the heart, and it's in the drum. That's where it's all at, you know. So.
All right.
So how can people contact you? How can they reach Ryan Anderson?
They can reach me. Email is spirit.drummer@yahoo.com. They can find me on Facebook under Ryan Anderson. There's probably a few of us. I'm not the only one. But look for the guy wearing the blue shirt sitting next to his cute wife in the profile picture.
That's the way to say it. You better.
Yeah. There you go. Let's see, what else? YouTube is youtube.com/RTA321. And on Facebook, I have a page called Sacred Rhythms. It's the only one out there. So
I will post the links all connected to the video.
Okay.
Where anybody needs to contact you, and also on my Twitter, so everybody can find you as easy as possible.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. That means a lot.
All right, Chris, you want to say anything last before I close it?
I mean, it was a great honor to have you on, Ryan. You know, I know you inspire a lot of people. There's people that haven't even heard about what you do, so
right.
You know, we need to get you out there, and thank you for keeping inspiring people and doing what you're doing. It's a great thing.
Well, Chris, that means a lot.
And
really, that means a lot. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If anybody wants to be interviewed, please contact us on mysticinterviews.com. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and viewing us after. Like, share, comment, and can you close off with drumming something?
I can. Yeah, I'm going to take the camera down, so I want to say thank you, everybody, for checking this out, and thank you, Emily and Chris, and we'll be in touch very soon. I'm going to take the camera down and drum this thing out. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Anytime.